Bucky good in the ball!
Santel all the way to the basket. Foul. Lays it in for two.
Hey, good morning, basketball fans. Happy holidays. We're about 6 days before Christmas, and this is the Upstate Hoops podcast here. I'm Jim Sinicropi inside the FingerLakes1.com studios, and we have a good show for you today. We've got going to recap all the action of the past week for the boys and the girls. We're going to look ahead at the week coming up, heading into Christmas. It'll be a short week, and then some maybe tournaments between Christmas and New Year's. We're going to, of course, release our new power rankings for the boys and girls teams of the Wayne Finger Lakes, and we're going to hear some interviews with Mason Blankenberg and PJ Ostrowski from Wayne, as well as Samantha Lewis from East Rochester. And glad you could be with me. Merry Christmas. Hope you've all your shopping and wrapping and planning's all done and you're ready to just settle in for a nice week and a great weekend next weekend with friends and family for Christmas. But before then, some opportunities to get out into the local high school gyms, catch some basketball action, and it's almost feels normal. I mean, there's been some good crowds at local games, but there's also been some teams that have been on pause due to COVID, and keeping our fingers crossed that moving forward into the winter months here and the heart of the schedules heading into sectionals, that doesn't become too much of an issue, and we can actually complete kind of a normal season. And then looking ahead to sectionals and beyond, hopefully nothing impacted there. Be nice to get back to the state tournaments and all that good stuff, because there are some teams here that potentially could make state runs, and we'll talk about those teams today. So I guess we'll jump right in, maybe by taking a look at the week that was in boys basketball, and kicked off the week with a Lions in action against North Rose-Wolcott at North Rose-Wolcott, a 92-41 win for Lions. And get used to this in Wayne County. Lions really not going to have too many challenges in the Wayne County League. Maybe Gananda, but other than that, you can almost anoint them as Wayne County League champs right now. What's more interesting with Lions is, can they win another sectional title, as has been commonplace over the past 5 or 6 years at Lions, and of course going back all the way to the beginning of Section 5. They're the second winningest program in Section 5 in terms of total sectional titles. I think they're up there 21, 22. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but that's going to be the focus with Lions, and they will be challenged a couple times in the regular season. They're playing a home and home with Pelmac, and we hope to get those games on Finger Lakes 1 for you, a chance to spotlight Lions. We're not really interested in rolling into the gym and covering a 60-point Lions win. But yeah, so we're looking forward to a chance to see Lions when they do those crossovers against Pelmac, which is a very good team in their own right. Speaking of Pelmac, moving on in the week, they hosted Marcus Whitman, and Whitman with a 36-34 win at Pelmac. Now, I know Pelmac was missing a couple key players. Paul Goodness, for example, I don't believe played in that game. But credit to Greg O'Connor's bunch, a young team who basically they had to replace almost 90% of the roster to graduation off of last year's sectional runner-up team, and a lot of those guys were on that sectional championship team from 2 years ago. So I anticipate Whitman is going to continue to improve in a tough Finger Lakes East. They're still playing in the East as the smallest school now, and I think all that stuff will prepare them for sectionals, that tough league schedule. But interesting to see how that group kind of develops under the tutelage of Coach O'Connor this year. Pelmac, tough to gauge too much off of this loss. Certainly a win. Missing 2 key players on their roster would have been impressive. But this was a team that we anticipated being among the top teams in the Finger Lakes East, maybe a team that could challenge Wayne for that Finger Lakes East title and Newark. So, we'll have to see as the season goes on. But speaking of Newark and Wayne, they played on Tuesday night in Wayne. This was a pretty highly anticipated ball game between the Reds and the Eagles, potentially with some early season league title implications for the Finger Lakes East. And I got to tell you, I was there with Ted Baker. Ted and I called the game on fingerlakes1.com, and Wayne jumped out to a double-digit lead. Newark, early second quarter, gave a little push, cut that to 6, had the ball with a three-pointer in the air that could have cut it to 3. And then when that shot missed, Wayne went on a 24-0 run spanning into the third quarter to just blow away the Reds, and it was a dominant performance. They won 64-37. And, going into that game, we knew Mason Blankenberg was their guy, and I was excited to see some of the complementary pieces around him to kind of evaluate maybe how good this team could be this year. Again, they're playing in Class A2, so sectionals title a little more difficult to obtain in A2 than like last year when they were in B1 and won it. Newark, also in B1, was a team that when I looked at the roster, like, man, these guys are going to be better than people think coming off of a disappointing season last year. And Newark came into the game at 1-2. They blew out Waterloo, and then they played 2 tough double-A teams. Victor, who nobody from the Wayne Finger Lakes probably going to hang with Victor, and then a Union Endicott team that traveled north. But that's something that Newark does. They like to test themselves in the early season and throughout. They're going down to Elmira over the holiday, but they're in danger of starting out with like a 1-6 or 1-7 record here if they don't turn things around. But again, they're playing really tough teams out of league. So regardless, they're facing Wayne on Tuesday night, and Wayne looked great, and Newark not so great. For Wayne, it was Mason Blankenberg with 20 points. Alec Gilbert had 13. Sean Nellis had 7. Noah Means 6. Jake Johnson, big guy in the middle, 6. PJ Ostrowski with 5. And they're still adding a kid, Devin Forrest, one of the best football players in all Section 5, actually. Got hurt in football season this year. He actually made an appearance late in that game Tuesday night. He should be back full, starting at center probably. So next game, which means that this Wayne Eagle team is actually going to get a little better and they looked great on Tuesday night. Masonburg attracts a lot of attention, which sets up other guys. He was able to get the ball to the foul line area and distribute baseline cutters, kick it back out to three-pointers. Alec Gilbert, all 13 of his points came in the second quarter. He was on fire. And it was an impressive win. For Newark, it was Rayshawn Howard with 14 to lead the way. He was a bit of a bright spot. They were trying to get the ball to Rayshawn at the around the foul line area as well, and then either dump down or let him create. And that happened with limited success. But what really stood out to me was just the way that Wayne was able to run their offense for the bulk of the game, almost as if it was just a practice. It was just working perfection. Able for them to distribute the ball to the wings, to get it high-low, do whatever they want. They basically did whatever they want. There was a little resistance from a Newark team that, I felt could have put forth a little bit of a better defensive effort. And then on the other side of the ball, Wayne's padded matchup zone that we know about really created a lot of problems for Newark, and they seem to me to be rushing a little bit. Their offense looked a little less cohesive than Wayne did. These two teams will meet again, and it'll be a chance for Newark to maybe put out a better performance. But so far, I don't see anybody beating Wayne. So I see them go undefeated through the Finger Lakes East. I think there's that big of a gap right now. Again, it's early. It's mid-December. And a lot of these teams will get better as we move through January and February. So we'll see, like I say, when Newark and Wayne match up again. Before we get too far along here with the scores, After that game, Ted Baker and I welcomed PJ Ostrowski as our Chichinos player of the game to the broadcast booth. Now, we could have given it to Mason Blankenberg. He was the player of the game, but Blankenberg also won the last time they were on Finger Lakes won, and we're going to play that interview for you as well after this Ostrowski interview. But the thing I like about this Ostrowski kid, and the reason we had him over there, and he reminds me a lot of Ben Coles from Newark. I don't know if you guys remember Ben Coles. He actually didn't play basketball his senior year because he was focusing on baseball, went to Maryland, got drafted by the New York Yankees. But when he was on that basketball team, he was a difference maker. Not because of the stat line and the number of points he scored, but because he was the first guy on the ground. He was out-rebounding players that were several inches taller than him. He was like just intense every minute he was on the court. And the plus-minus, I believe, for Newark when Ben Coles was on the court versus off was significant. And I see the same thing happening with Ostrowski. He's not going to be a headliner, but man, he's a kid that can get things done, and he's just a sophomore. So let's hear from PJ Ostrowski after the Eagles win over Newark. It was the Little John Orthodontics Smiles with Style postgame show, and we'll have a listen to that right now.
Welcome back to our postgame show, Little John and Barbie Orthodontics Smiles with Style postgame show. Visit Dr. Rod and Dr. Liz online at littlejohnortho.com. Our Chichinos Pizzeria and Restaurant Player of the Game is with us. We've been raving about PJ Ostrowski. Lots of rebounds. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what was the key to the run? They came within 6. It was 24-18. You guys put the hammer down and scored 24 straight. What made that run happen?
Our rotation on defense, I feel like we really got good stops, and that really gave us energy and turned the game around.
We've been saying the first 2 games, we saw you in the Geneva game as well, you're not the biggest guy out there, but you get to the ball. What do you do to play bigger under the bucket and get those rebounds?
I just do my best, and I just try to elevate, box out, and put a body on everyone.
Well, I'll tell you, PJ, you do a lot of the little things. You're out rebounding bigger guys. You're getting your hand on the ball. It's a 50-50 ball. I think every team needs something like that. But looking at this team, Mason Blankenberg, obviously you're the leader on the court, but what a great supporting cast. Talk a little bit about Alec Gilbert. He had a nice second quarter.
Yeah, he gets hot. He's just a shooter. When he gets high, he just doesn't miss, and he's always been like that since we've been growing up. So he's a great basketball player.
And it was fun to see Devin Forrest get his points. It's been a long road back for him, right?
Yeah, that was amazing to see him come back. It was fun seeing him back in uniform.
I asked this question of Blankenberg the other night after the Geneva game. You guys were 15-0 last year. You get it pulled out from under you. Is that something you talk about that we didn't get our chance last year, we're going to go all the way this year?
Yeah, that was kind of what we felt. We felt like we just need to come out hot like we did last season. We took a loss to Webster, but I think we're coming back hot.
Well, you're going to be tough to beat in the Finger Lakes East, and you're our Chichinos Pizzeria player of the game. So next time you're in Waterloo or Geneva, you got a free cheese pizza there. And again, Mason Blankenberg probably player of the game today, but how many pizzas can Mason eat?
Exactly.
Right?
Well, congratulations. You did a great job on the boards, and you guys are going to go a long way and be fun to watch. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks,
right,
PJ. Good game.
PJ Ostrowski, our player of the game, sponsored by Chichinos Pizzeria and Restaurant. Locations in Geneva, Waterloo, and Del Lago. Place your order online at chichinos.com. This is the Little John and Barbie Orthodontics Smiles with Style postgame show. All right,
well,
I guess we don't
there you
schedule
have
more
it.
Wayne games until playoffs.
Just a sophomore, PJ Ostrowski. And while we're here, hearing interviews from Wayne players, you should probably hear from Mason Blankenberg. Odds-on favorite for Finger Lakes East Player of the Year so far, and just an all-around solid player. You talk about, always being in the right position, controlling things on the court, always under control himself, but not just controlling himself, controlling everything out there with the basketball. Great distributor. Of course, the younger brother, Logan Blankenberg, who was on that two-time sectional champion Wayne Eagle team that went ahead and won their first school sectional title in school history, and that really set the table for the teams that came after it, including this team with his younger brother Mason. Logan went on to play at Nazareth, and also Logan Blankenberg, the school's all-time leading scorer. I don't know if Mason can catch him by the end of the year, but and then there's another Blankenberg kid on the JVs. So Finger Lakes East opponent's going to be dealing with Blankenbergs for a few more years. But let's hear from Mason Blankenberg. This interview coming off the heels of another Wayne blowout victory at Geneva last week, as Mason Blankenberg joined Ted Baker and Michael Lesio in the booth for the post-game show.
Welcome back to our Little John and Barbie Orthodontic Smiles with Style post-game show. Our player of the game for Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant is Mason Blankenberg. So first question for you, Mason, is just hold that right up close there. 15-0 last year. You get your season cut off. Is that something you guys still talk about as what might have been and trying to get back to that height this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we had a tremendous year last year. We had a really good shot to, maybe make a state run, but at the end of the day, we let the seniors end off on a win, so I'm glad about that.
Yeah. We've said you guys play the 2-3 zone, I think, as well as they say anybody play it. It's just very active in it. What's the key to your success in that zone?
Key to success is to get back on defense. Geneva loves to get out in transition, get it set up, and then we got a matchup 2-3 zone that just gets people out of their offense, and I thought we did a great job tonight.
So how you feeling so far? You got 3 games in, right? 2 wins, you got a loss there. Obviously, postseason, you're going to be back up into A2. Finger Lakes East, anything can happen, but, you'll probably be the cream of the crop there. Even though Coach Thompson says we're an average team, you certainly didn't look like an average team to me tonight. How are you feeling? You've been there. You're the leader. What are you thinking of this team right now?
I think we're young. We got a lot of learning to do, a lot of unexperience, but I feel like I can lead this team to, maybe get back up to where we were last year. And I know it's going to be a lot harder back up in A2, and I know we got a lot of targets on our back, but I feel like I can lead this team to anywhere we go.
How hard is it having lost so many players from last year? So, from having watched basketball, I've seen you and Reynolds play forever together. That had to be a little heartbreaking, right, to see him go? You guys played tandem beautifully together.
Yeah, absolutely. He was my partner in crime. I miss him every day, but there's guys that got to step up, and we did that tonight.
Now, another question for you. So, what's it going to look like when Forrest is back? He comes back in a couple weeks, probably. Yeah. Is that my understanding?
A couple weeks, yeah, I'd say. We're going to have our rotation with the big guys will be a little bit different, but he'll definitely help us out on the boards and scoring. Yeah. And I'll take a little pressure off myself.
All right, Mason, thanks. You're our Cicino's player of the game.
Thank you very
enjoy
much.
the gift certificate, and thanks for being with us, and appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Good luck, buddy.
All right, our player of the game, Mason Blankenberg, who finished with, I believe it was 22 points. We'll total things up here in just a moment. But
All right, so just heard from Ostrowski, Blankenberg. Blankenberg's pretty confident in that interview, but I don't think that anybody would expect him. That team's going to come and go as he does. It's how everybody else works around him that I think is going to be the key for Wayne come sectional time in a tough A2 classification. But certainly everything is advertised. Of course, feel bad for kids like Mason who have kind of had their high school career as such a great basketball player impacted by COVID-19. And that's another reason, just keep your fingers crossed that everything progresses as close to normal as can be going forward, especially for these seniors who had to spend their junior year. The season didn't even start till February. Remember, it was like a 4-week regular season and then no state tournament. And this year, trying to do things normally and keeping our fingers crossed for those seniors to have a full normal, as close to normal of a basketball season as you could hope. But moving on to boys' results from the week that was here. Penn Yan went into Waterloo, came away with a 69-45 victory. Devin Mulvey-Salerno with 13 points to lead the way there for Waterloo in the loss. But the story here, Penn Yan, undefeated start to the season. As you see when we go through, they also picked up a win that was on FL1 Sports against Marcus Whitman at home, which was a traditionally tough matchup, especially for Penn Yan. Marcus Whitman, of course, had those great teams, but I think it's been since 2017 since Penn Yan won. So Penn Yan Mustangs is definitely a team kind of on the rise here early season. Another team on the rise, at least catching our attention in the Finger Lakes West, the HAC Wolves. They defeated Dundee Bradford, another really good team from the West. I think that those are probably two of the top teams, but it was an 11-point victory for the Wolves, 70-59 at home. Theo Colosimo with 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Max Brown, 13 points, 13 rebounds, double-double. This is a really good HAC team, and it's a team that kept it semi-close against Lions when they played Lions, I think in their season opener. Nobody in the Finger Lakes West is going to be as tough as Lions, but HAC, in terms of sectional potential, and certainly the favorites, heavy favorites, in my opinion, right now in the Finger Lakes West, off to a great start. Mid-Lakes playing in the Finger Lakes West. They kind of swapped with Whitman. So Mid-Lakes now the biggest team, a B1 team in the Finger Lakes West. They had no problem at South Seneca with a 65-32 win. Ricky Wright, 25 points. Kyle Kumke with 15. Hunter Black with 8. Abe Diaz with 6. Ethan Lawrence had 23 to lead the Falcons, but it wasn't enough as Mid-Lakes rolls. Staying in the West, another team in the West that's starting to attract some attention, going way down to Class D, talking about the Romulus Warriors. They blew out Naples, which I thought a decent Naples team, 75-36. Henry Morse, 22 points. Ben Jessup, 16. Mike Kaufman, 12. Zach Butler, 9. This Romulus team is pretty good. Coach Peisnack's been kind of building with this group for a while, and sectional contenders this year for sure. The Romulus Warriors, something that we're going to be keeping an eye on. For Naples in that game, Adam Bay led with 13, Ryan Lester with 11, but it was all Romulus down there at Romulus High School earlier this week. Clyde Savannah got a win. They beat Rochester Charter Academy 74-30. East Rochester boys easily handled Williamson 57-32. And East Rochester, a team that was pretty high ranked in our preseason power rankings, has not looked like the team that we thought they would be. In this game against an improved Williamson team, an easy win. Gananda, who beat this East Rochester team, beat Sodus on the road 58-40. Gananda looking good early season. And Red Creek hosted Marion, and the Marion boys with a 36-34 win there. Moving ahead in the week, this tough HAC team went to Mid-Lakes. And so you think that former Finger Lakes East team against HAC? Well, I'm telling you, this HAC team is for real. 77-38, just blowing out Mid-Lakes on their home court. Max Brown, who's now listed this year as Max Yamil Cabazudo Brown, had 23 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. That's a triple-double. And he's just a fun player to watch and is odds-on favorite for the Finger Lakes West Player of the Year this year. Raphael Ferguson had 12 points and 14 rebounds in that one. Theo Colosimo had 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. So they were just racking up the points and all the stats at the expense of Mid-Lakes and Clifton Springs last week. Carter Reed also threw in 10 points. Ryan Kerwin, 9 points. Quinn Hartman, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. So the HAC Wolves off to a great start to their season. Marion, when's the last time Marion boys have won 2 games in the same week? Well, they hosted Naples and won 59-48. Logan Evans, 25 points, 9 rebounds in that one. Mike Phillips, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Liam Phillips with 8. And seeing some of these names on this Marion team now getting older and the kind of rebuilding what was once a real proud program there. The Black Knights of Marion, 2 wins this week. Naples also got a win. You just heard about a couple losses, but they beat South Seneca 57-26. Talk about another former proud program. The South Seneca boys program once was one of the elite state programs for a couple of different stretches of time. But man, Naples came. South Seneca goes to Vine Valley and just got spanked 57-26. Ryan Lester with 26 points to lead the way there for the Big Green Machine. Also, East Rochester hosted Sodus. 6-point win for East Rochester. So they got the win, but again, would have maybe thought that would have been a little easier for the Bombers at home against Sodus. So moving on in the week, or actually that'll be about it for the action for the boys this week. But the week ahead, what's today's date? So tomorrow will be the 20th, the 21st, Tuesday night. We really start to get into some great games, interesting games. Minders traveling to Marcus Whitman. Now, Minders has not shown anything, and of course, they were just coming off a pause themselves. That's why you didn't hear me report any scores from Minders last week. They are going to Marcus Whitman. Pretty big game for both teams because I said Minders hasn't shown much this year, and they need to take care of business and beat this Marcus Whitman team that they should be favored against. But Marcus Whitman, never an easy place to go, and I'm telling you, Connor Tomian probably leading the way for this Whitman team. But like I said, a team that's getting better and better probably every day, and so this is going to be a good test game to keep an eye on here for both teams. But a huge game for Minders, I say, to come out with a win in that one. Geneva was supposed to go to Waterloo, but I'm not sure which one of those programs is on pause, but that game postponed for COVID purposes. And then, oh boy, a big game for Newark. The undefeated Penn Yan Mustangs are coming in on Tuesday night to the Rose City to take on the Reds, who desperately need a win. And if Penn Yan can win this one and go to 6-0 to start the season, Coach Dan Doyle's bunch is well, really, at that point, they become probably the biggest contender, maybe, to take out Wayne and get into that Finger Lakes East title chase. So, getting ahead of ourselves, but that's a serious conversation you can have if Penn Yan wins at Newark, and just a huge must win. It's as close to maybe a must win as you can get this time of year for Newark in that one against Penn Yan. And then we have another great game, and I hope that Palmac will be at full strength because the Wayne Eagles are coming into town. That's a bit of a rivalry game already, but we're thinking that Palmac might be one of those teams that could challenge Wayne this year. And so hopefully they're at full strength because, Wayne's adding a piece in Devon Forest. But what a big Tuesday night for the Finger Lakes East with those three games. Minders at Whitman, Penn Yan at Newark, and Wayne at Palmac. Also, Naples is at HAC, Mid-Lakes is at Honeoye, Dundee Bradford at Red Jacket, Romulus at South Seneca. Of course, you want to talk about big rivalry games, but Romulus coming in heavily favored this year. Clyde Savannah at Sodus, East Rochester at NRW, Gananda at Red Creek, and Lions at Marion. And then moving ahead to, North Rose Wolcott scheduled on the 23rd of December, which would be Wednesday to play. I think it would be Wednesday. Or would be, to Thursday that would be to play Bloomfield, North Rose at Bloomfield. They've been playing Bloomfield some of their games at FLCC, so we'll see where that one's played. And then in between Christmas week, you got some holiday tournaments. Minders will be at Skinny Atlas along with Cato Meridian, South Seneca, and Skinny Atlas, the host for what should be a fun holiday tournament. There's also a great tournament in Red Jacket featuring North Rose, Wolcott, Red Creek, Sodus, and Red Jacket. So these holiday tournaments are fun. Newark will be down in Elmira as they usually are. I think Dundee Bradford's is going to be in a tournament in Avoca. Gananda is going to be a tournament at Caledonia along with Wheatland, Chili, and York. So, from here to the end of the 2021 till New Year's, that's pretty much your high school basketball slate, and then heading into the new year, things really get up to speed, and we hope to get things up to speed with our coverage as well, with some video games, and we've already been doing some radio only games on FL1 radio, audio only, and we're going to continue to do a lot of those. Matter of fact, this week we'll announce where we're going to be shortly on Tuesday night. Tough to decide with all those games I just mentioned, some great games. So quickly, let's jump ahead to the girls, where, looking at the boys' leagues, looks like Lions is going to run away with Wayne County. Wayne looks like they're going to be tough to challenge in the East. Then in the West, HAC looks dominant. So I don't know if, a month from now, we're going to be able to even be talking about league championship races. We might be focused only on teams with good shots in sectionals, because on the boys' side at least, it's going to be tough to unseat those 3 teams in the league standings. Now, is that the same for the girls? Well, let's talk about the girls. Kicking off the week, Geneva went to East High, and East High won 70-29. And a big rivalry game on the girls' side, Gananda at East Rochester in the Bomber Barn, and it was all East Rochester 58-27. Lily Funk had 18. Bria Hickman had 14 points, 10 rebounds. Zariah Elbridge, 13.6 assists. I didn't even mention Sam Lewis on that line. For Gananda, Kaylee Marvin had 12 points all in the second half. But this East Rochester girls team, coming off a sectional title last year in an undefeated season, I believe, they're just as good this year. They lost. Zoe Zoots was a pretty big loss for them, but this team is stacked. And in Wayne County, I'm going to find it hard to find a team that's going to compete with them for the league title. Maybe Clyde Savannah. Yeah, you'd like to think that perhaps the Lions girls could, but they already lost to Clyde. And this East Rochester team, just a next-level team. A chance at 2 straight sectional titles, of probably favorites in what I think they're C1. So the very next night, East Rochester took on Williamson and won easily there, 64-30. There's Sam Lewis leading the way in that one with 28 points and 13 rebounds. Lily Funk had 10 points, 6 block shots. Labria Hickman, 13 rebounds in that one. So real quick, going back 2 weeks now, East Rochester played at Clyde Savannah in a game that was broadcast on FL1 radio. Paul Russo and Jason Hunt had the call. Player of the game there, Samantha Lewis from East Rochester. We're going to take a second and hear what Samantha Lewis had to say following that game on the Smiles with Style postgame show.
Everybody, welcome back to the Little John and Barbie Orthodox Smiles with Style postgame show here from Clyde Savannah High School. Paul Russo and Jason Hunt here. We're joined by our Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant player of the game, Samantha Lewis from East Rochester. Samantha, great game. Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, great game. We've been talking about how, me and Paulie, how you do a lot for the team. You get rebounds, you push the ball forward, you look for your shot, you look for your teammates. You guys do a lot in the off season.
Yeah, over the summer, we work out probably 3 days a week. Even without a coach, like we'll go to an outdoor court in our town and we'll just play pickup. And I think we're really lucky. We have a really dedicated group of girls. Like as soon as the last school bell rings, we'll be in the gym shooting like an hour early for practice, and we say after. It's just a really good group. Like you never hear anyone complaining.
Yeah, you can tell. Everybody's in the right spot. You're always looking that opposite side. You know where to be. You're sliding on defense. It's good to see.
Yeah.
Right.
So obviously, coming off of a big year last year, coming into this year early on in the season, obviously still, but what are your expectations kind of moving forward a little bit here, both, call it maybe the first half before Christmas break and then all the way through, the sectional time in February and early March?
I think we always say we want to take it one game at a time. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We know we had a really good season last year, and I don't think we're expecting anything less. We still want to put our best out every game, but we want to win the league. We want to win sectionals, but we're really looking to take it one game at a time and just fixing all the little mistakes so we can really be our best every game and improve.
Yeah, and be ready at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Right, good. Great answer.
Thank you.
All right, we'll let you get out here on this question. Cicino's Pizza Restaurant Player of the Game will get you a certificate for there.
Oh, thank you.
Cicino's big thing is their pizza. Quick question for you on the way out. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Oh,
You're
my
not going to
God.
say no.
I've
had it before. I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Okay, fair enough. I'll allow that answer.
I've had a Hawaiian pizza. It's not bad.
My sister really likes it.
Okay, all right.
Cool.
All right, Samantha Lewis, player of the game, Cicino's Pizza and Restaurant player of the game. Samantha, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you so much.
Get you in the locker room, celebrate your team.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So there you hear from Samantha Lewis and East Rochester. And this is a team we're going to hear a lot from this year. Stacked. They're stacked. They're great. And you heard she's got a good group. They like to play outside of practices just with themselves. They like to go. She mentioned an outside court that they met up a lot. They meant staying early. staying late after practice or getting there early, getting extra shots up. But this whole group at East Rochester, I'm really comfortable playing with each other and really are playing, almost a next level game as opposed to most of their opponents either in Class C1, which I think they're C1 this year, and in league at in the Wayne County Girls League. Moving on with the results from last week. Speaking of Wayne County, North Rose Wolcott Sodas combining this year, I believe, programs, but not enough for the Lions. Lions girls 63-42. Lions wins. Jayla Bell, you're going to hear that name a lot this year. Just a freshman, I believe, this year. 26 points, 6 rebounds, 11 steals. Amani Harder, who wasn't there for that game against Clyde, I'm not sure what happened, but apparently she's back now. And she had a double-double with 10 points and 13 rebounds. And, certainly she probably would have helped against Clyde. And hopefully she'll be there and they'll have their whole team when the two teams meet again, because you're not going to see a very good rivalry game between the Lions and Clyde boys this year. But on the girls' side, it really might be worth heading out and watching the game, because there's nothing like Lions Clyde, I'll tell you that much, when both teams are good, and that goes for girls or boys. So other Wayne County action, the Red Creek girls, even though they are graduated one of the best players in school history last season with a 43-18 win over Marion, led by Mackenzie Ferguson's 10 points. The HAC girls, also a pretty good team, but let me tell you another team. We talking about, theme of this show has kind of been dominant teams within each league, and Dundee Bradford in the Finger Lakes West is a really good basketball team with sectional aspirations for sure. They win 52-37 against the Wolves in Dundee. Kendall Parker had 16, Jade Rossell had 10, Haley Knapp had 10, and this Dundee Bradford Scots team is pretty strong in the West. Keeping it in the West, Marcus Whitman girls, led by Coach Liz Royston, with a 52-25 win over South Seneca. And South Seneca, again, we're just a few years removed from one of the most dominant runs any girls team has had in the area in South Seneca, that included state titles and multiple trips to the state Final Four. This one was all Marcus Whitman. Romulus girls with a 36-12 win at Naples. McKaylee Werner with 12. Emma Uhas with 10 to lead the Warriors in that one. And then a Finger Lakes East matchup, Mid Lakes in the East, of course, for girls action. And talk about a team coming off a great run. Mid Lakes Screaming Eagles with multiple trips to the state Final Four. And losing Carol Walker off of last year's team was a huge loss. But Coach Nate Rich has a great program in the works, and this Naples team, despite losing to Minders in the opening week tournament, looks pretty strong. Now, another strong team from the East, the Palmac Red Raider girls, not able to stay with Mid Lakes in Clifton Springs, 43-34, the Screaming Eagles with the win. Grace Murphy had 14 points. Callie Walker had 9 points and 10 rebounds, 7 blocks as well. Kate Mahoney, 7 points in that one. Palmac was led by Tatum Smythe with 14. The Newark girls got a nice win at home against Wayne, 36-30. And the Waterloo girls, now here's another team coming off an undefeated season last year. Sectional champs, the Waterloo Lady Indians, look to dominate the Finger Lakes East. The teams that could possibly contend, Minders, Mid Lakes, Palmac, and Penn Yan. Like, this Finger Lakes East girls team is probably the best league top to bottom of all the leagues that we cover in terms of competitiveness and teams with potential to go deep in sectionals. But this one was all Waterloo in Penn Yan, 65-34. Morgan Caraballo, 17 points to lead the Indians. Macy Carr with 15. Giovanna White Principio in the middle there, going to cause fits for our teams all season long, had 15 points. For Penn Yan, Sierra Harrison had 12. This is a good Penn Yan team, but Waterloo's going to do this to a lot of teams, I think, this year. But as you'll see as we move forward, I think the second time they played this week, not so dominant against a league opponent. Remember, Mid-Lakes and Waterloo were tied heading into the fourth quarter when they met 2 weeks ago before Waterloo was able to pull that one out. Okay, moving ahead in the week, back to Wayne County. Clyde Savannah with a 45-35 win over Gananda. Real good Clyde team here, led by Jada Larson. She scored 16 points in that one. Ashlyn Rattray had 14. Kylie Paler had 8. Good Clyde Savannah girls team this year for the Golden Eagles. The Bloomfield girls look strong. They handled Red Jacket easily on the road, 52-22. Lily Bauman, 12. Allison Bauman with 12. Sophie Ketchmark had 8. Kira Johnson had 8. Real balanced attack from the Lady Bombers. And then that strong Dundee Bradford team back in action at Honeoye wins by 35, 55-20. Kendra Parker, 21 points. Haley Knapp, 8 points, 12 rebounds. South Seneca girls did get a much-needed win this week with a 56-11 win hosting Naples. And then the Lions girls back in action at Red Creek with a 64-32 win. Amani Harder, 17 points, 12 rebounds, 10 steals. That's a triple-double. And guess who else had a triple-double? Jay LaBelle, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 10 steals. Michaela Chase, 16 points in that one. Cameron Bonnell with 6 points. Nadia Chase with 6 points, 8 rebounds, 7 steals. Man, not a lot of stats for must have been a lot of turnovers with all those steals. But Marty Colgrove's Lions girls team, along with the boys team in Lions, both sectional contenders for sure. It's just a question of can Clyde Savannah or Lions, can they challenge East Rochester? Be worth taking a look at. This East Rochester team really solid, and of course, certainly a little bit bigger school than Clyde Savannah. I think they might be in the same classification as Lions, which might be problematic for the Lions girls looking for a sectional title. But I got to get some of these sectional classifications straight before our next podcast, and I'll be sure to do that for you. Sometimes they're not really set until about mid-December. And so we're going to take a look and make sure that we're all squared up on who's in whose class moving forward here on the podcast. So moving ahead in the week, Clyde Savannah with a nice win over Williamson, 53-31, 21 points from Jada Larson in that one. Gananda girls win easily at North Rose Wolcott Sodas, 59-29. Kaylee Marvin with 14 points, Nicole Cruz with 13, and Nadia Marnick with 12. Emma Grace Humbert, Emma Grace Humbert, let's say, 17 points for NRW/Sodus. Geneva girls at Newark with a 58-35 win. Pretty much improved Newark team. They're going to play the Palmac girls, and they're going to play the Lion girls. So that's what I like the most. Palmac, just a couple miles to the west of Newark, Lions basically right next door on the east to Newark. These schools should play all the time. They're doing it on the boys' side, Lions and Palmac, but not Lions and Newark, which I would think would be a fabulous game this year. But thank goodness the girls are going to do it. Crosstown rivals, Newark Lions. They hardly ever play. They're playing this year on the girls' side. And it should be a pretty good game. This is an improved Newark team in the Finger Lakes East. Also in the East, another test for Penn Yan. This time they're traveling to Mid-Lakes, and they gave them a good game, but Mid-Lakes able to eke out a 4-point win, 36-32, thanks to Kaylee Walker's 12 points and 17 rebounds. Mary Givens, 8 points, 10 rebounds. And for Penn Yan, Sierra Harrison with 11 and Elle Harrison with 9. Also on what this would have been, last Friday night, the Waterloo Indians hosted Wayne, easy 50-13 win. 20 points from Giovanna White Principio to lead the way there for Coach Mike Bree's Waterloo Indians. And there you have the week that was in Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball, which means that, well, actually, before we get away from the girls, we got to look at the week ahead. starting on Monday night, tomorrow night. Wayne at Williamson. Dundee Bradford out of league at Campbell Savona. I guess that Wayne Williamson league's out of league too. But again, that's a local rivalry game. That should be actually a pretty good one. Finger Lakes East team against a Wayne County team, not always, but this one should be hotly contested. Red Jacket at Notre Dame Batavia and Mid Lakes at Webster Thomas. Tuesday night, North Rose Wolcott Sodas is at East Rochester. Red Creek's at Gananda, and Marion is at Lyons. Moving ahead to the 22nd of December, Red Jacket at Dundee Bradford, HAC at Naples, Honeoye at Marcus Whitman, South Seneca at Romulus. Could be a pretty good one there. Love that South End rivalry. In the East, Waterloo at Geneva. Probably won't be too much of a test for the Indians in that one. Mid Lakes at Minders, a rematch already in a game. As I mentioned, tournament at Red Jacket over Thanksgiving weekend. Minders with a really big win against this Mid Lakes team. I don't want to call it a statement win or anything like that, but it was a good early test for both these teams. Mid Lakes playing well since then. Will now travel to Arthur L. Baker to take on Minders in what is probably one of the biggest games of the night in girls basketball. Newark is traveling to Penn and Wayne is at Pelmac. And then the last game before the holiday break would feature Bloomfield at Red Creek. Looking at the week between Christmas and New Year's, Dundee Bradford's going to be at Watkins Glen for a tournament. Gananda is going to be at a tournament in Avoca Prattsburg. Who else we got here? There's a great tournament at Pelmac that would feature East Rochester and host Pelmac. Minders also going to South Seneca on the 29th of December. And then Penn Yan girls will be at a tournament at Haverling. Waterloo girls will be at a tournament at Livonia. Marion will be at a tournament on Section 3 at Cato Meridian. And then 2 days before the end of the month and the year of 2021, Newark at Lions. There's that game that we were talking about. We're going to do everything we can to get that one for you in some level on fingerlakes1.com. And I don't know if they're playing that at the Atwood or the community center. Something tells me that one might end up at the community center, but not sure. Red Creek's at Bloomfield on December 30th. Waterloo in that tournament at Livonia, as I mentioned, that would be the final round. And then we watch the ball drop and get ready for 2022. So, covered a lot already here on the podcast. It's time now to take a look at our Wayne Finger Lakes Power Rankings. And let's start with the boys. Start at 15, Mid Lakes boys popping back in there at 15th. And again, how many teams are there in the boys or girls Wayne Finger Lakes? You got 9 in the East, 9 in the West, or 8 in the East, 9 in the West, 9 in Wayne County. So, you're talking about maybe 24, 25 teams total. So, going 15 deep. But I want to keep a track of some of these teams between 10 of it. It was always tough to choose who was going to crack in at number 10. And again, any team that I think that we believe has a shot, maybe not being favorites, if you're up near the top of our power rankings, you're pretty much, we're hoping to follow you deep into sectionals and see if maybe win that sectional brick for your school. But even these teams at the bottom are teams that you can consider as potentially being able to get better by the end of the season and make a sectional run. So you got Mid Lakes at 15, Bloomfield boys at 14, Waterloo boys at 13, the lowest of our Finger Lakes East teams in terms of their rankings. But again, a young team, a lot of turnover there. They're going to have a chance to get better as the season goes on. The Gananda Blue Panther boys at 12 and the Romulus Warrior boys at 11. We've been doing these power rankings for quite some time, and you didn't see the Romulus boys in there much. Well, granted, they're the only D school in the Wayne Finger Lakes, so it's going to be tough for them too. But they got something brewing down there in Romulus, and they debut here at 11th. looking to craft the top 10 maybe next week. Dundee Bradford at 10. Got the Geneva boys at 9. Marcus Whitman at 8. Minders at 7. This is going to be that Whitman Minders game is going to be a big one for Minders this coming week. The HAC Wolves, Finger Lakes West team up there in 6th. Newark Reds at 5. Despite the slow start, they've had a really tough schedule. I mean, 2 AA teams in Wayne. It's no surprise they're 1-3 with their one win against Waterloo. But we're going to find out a lot about the Newark Reds here over the coming weeks, and maybe not even from that tournament in Elmira. It's until we start seeing them square off against some more league opponents that we'll learn a lot about this Reds team that I thought was going to be very good this year. And they still might be. It's just tough to tell because they've been playing way above their head in terms of competition. And having to go to Wayne, that's a tough start to the season. Palmac at 4, again, not been at full strength. A team that we expect to be contenders in the East and in Class B1. The Penn Mustangs, though, probably a surprise to see them all the way up at 3, but they haven't lost. They're undefeated, and they got that big win against Marcus Whitman, a bit of a local rivalry game there. And these two teams have met several times over the past few years, and Whitman's won every time since, I think, 2016 or 17. So a big win for Dan Doyle and the Penn Mustangs. You got Lions at 2, Wayne at 1. Wayne did lose to a tough Webster team, but it's tough. I don't know, when are we going to see Lions challenged in the regular season? Maybe Palmac will be a test, but and this was the same thing last year or the past several years. I would love to see Wayne and Lions play. They were supposed to play last year when the schedule was originally set before the season was called off, and then eventually jump-started in February for a 4-week sprint of a regular season. But there you have it for the boys. Wayne holds on to the top spot. Now, how about the girls? Power rankings for the week. Let's take a look here. And starting at 15, you got the Marcus Whitman Wildcats, followed by HAC at 14, Wayne at 13 out of the Finger Lakes East, Gananda at 12, and the Newark Lady Reds at 11. Now the top 10. The Lions back at full strength come in at 10th. And again, when you're making these rankings, a lot of times you're saying to yourself, what happens when a middle-of-the-road Finger Lakes East team plays a top team from Wayne County or sometimes the West, and more often than not, the Finger Lakes East team comes out with the win. And so a lot of the strength of the league plays into these power rankings as well. Lions at 10, Bloomfield Bombers at 9, Clyde Savannah Golden Eagles at 8. And again, Clyde did get that big win against Lions, and who's to say that this Clyde team might not be able to eventually work themselves up there into the top 5 in our power rankings. But first thing, I got to go through some Finger Lakes East teams like Penn at number 7. Dundee Bradford at number 6, a very, very good girls basketball team in Dundee / Bradford. So keep an eye on the Scots. They're all the way up to 6. Palmax at 5 after that loss to Midlakes, who's at 4. Minders beat Midlakes. Midlakes beats Palmac. That's a big reason why you see them 3, 4, 5 in the power rankings right now. And there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, with that group, including Penn Yan and potentially even a Newark based on when they start playing each other more often. And that's going to happen starting this week. East Rochester Bombers at 2, and I think it's legit. I think this East Rochester team would contend in the Finger Lakes East. I think this East Rochester team could beat Minders, Midlakes, or Pelmac. So they stand at 2, and then again for the third straight week and even further going back to last year, the Waterloo Lady Indians at number 1. I don't know if these Waterloo Indians are as dominant as they were last year. They had some losses. Most notably, I think, was Mackenzie Barber, who brought a lot of toughness to that team. They're a little small at the guard. Macy Carr is, a bad shooting night by Macy Carr leaves this team vulnerable. course, having Giovanna White-Principio in the middle or an athlete like Jasmine Lewis on the court, they're very, very good. I'm just questioning if maybe they're as dominant as they were last year, and if we might see them pick up 1 or 2 losses in the Finger Lakes East this year. I mean, when I look at Minders, Mid-Lakes, Pelmac, I think Minders is better than we might have thought basing off we saw last year. A lot of those girls on that team worked pretty hard in the offseason. They have some tremendous size on the team, too, from top to bottom in their lineup, which should make it problematic for opponents. And as I mentioned, Mid-Lakes, that program's just been kind of on cruise control, but it had some great leaders in Elena Forbes and Carol Walker and Macy Kisner off those great state teams that have moved on now. But when a team breeds that success and you got kids on the team now that kind of came up through the program playing against those state caliber players, it can't help but make you better. So anyways, there you have it. Things pretty interesting right now heading into Christmas. We haven't really seen enough yet. Like I said, a few teams going on pause for COVID, so a few games being postponed. Keeping our fingers crossed that we can have a normal January, February regular season end, and then into sectionals for kids this week or this year, seniors specifically, who've had to go through a lot in terms of not having a normal, high school basketball experience. So we're looking forward to it. Check out fingerlakes1.com. Probably won't have a podcast next week, the day after Christmas, but we will publish updated power rankings. Keep an eye on the front page of Finger Lakes 1 or the FL1 app or mobile site for where we're going to be broadcasting from this week and the week after Christmas. We plan on doing plenty of games. And so just keep an eye on the front page of Finger Lakes 1. If you like this podcast, subscribe to us on YouTube, where pretty much everywhere audio podcasts are, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, wherever. You can find the Upstate Hoops podcast. Subscribe for the latest episodes. And, hey, I'm not going to see you before Christmas, so I hope you all have a great holiday week. I hope you student athletes have a good break, and Christmas break for student athletes, basketball players, a little different than most because they're probably still going to be practicing almost every day outside of Christmas itself. But try to stay healthy, keep working, and again, to you and yours, Merry Christmas. I'm Jim Sinicropi. This has been the Upstate Hoops podcast, and wishing everybody out there the merriest of holidays this year, and we'll see you next on this podcast in 2022. All right, have a good one, everybody.